Thank you, Lascan. Minister, twice you mentioned balanced regional development in your response, and then you went on to tell us projects in Cork, Galway, Waterford, Limerick, as well as Dublin. No mention at all of Sligo. And my question to you is about the Sligo-Dublin rail line. Minister, two issues that are absolutely crucial. We need a train to arrive in Sligo, at least from Longford or Carrick-on-Shannon, for about 8:30 in the morning, for students, for workers, so that people can use public transport. There's a real need for that service. And secondly, Minister, according to the Strategic Rail Review, a lot of talk about forward tracking near Houston and Connolly, and that is perfect, but double tracking is needed on certain parts of that railway. And I was so disappointed that once again the North West is left out when it comes to balanced regional development.
Thank you. I'll try and answer all. If I could start with Deputy Murko, just on one point, funding, because there is a reality, this government, the next government's going to have to, and the one after is going to have to recognise, we don't have the funding for everything. And we're going to have to make some hard choices. And in my mind, that choice should continue to be the prioritisation of public transport, because the real benefit is this brings us housing development which is sustainable, more economic, more better, and within line of the national planning framework. You have to invest in the public transport to make our housing solutions work. And that means hard choices, but I think it should be the favouring of the rail and bus and active travel options. Deputy O'Keefe, I very much appreciate and support what you said, is that we should focus initially, if we're looking at the next 10 years now, first 5 years, really focusing on the quick wins, passing loops, we can name them all over the country, where you'd get enhancement of the existing capacity at relatively low cost and relatively quick speed. My understanding, I thought the clearance had already started on the line in Claremorris to Athenry. I'll have to check that. But the experience from Foynes, actually, I would disagree with you on this, is that you can work actually very quickly when you work in this way, because you're not caught in planning. And actually, I think Irish Rail turned around that Foynes line really quickly. I hope we can do the same on the Western Rail Corridor. In relation to Deputy Harkin, I absolutely accept the need to accelerate or to improve access to the North West. And actually, a lot of that investment on the mainline existing network I mentioned earlier is designed and can and will do that. In relation to Deputy Callan, I have a PQ on that issue of Clongriffin later on, so I might come back to it at that rather than using the time here. But finally, to Deputy Ledden. I mentioned those three cases, the Western Rail Corridor, the rail line to Shannon and the reopening of the Rosslare line, because they're only the three only real new lines that we'll be putting in this whole strategy. And I think it's important that they do come centre stage, because they're key strategic elements in rebalancing of the country. We have an imbalanced transport system. It is all investment in the east, and not all investment, but a huge proportion of investment going into the east. We do need to balance it up, and I think those three sections, along with the other investments in the northwest as well as elsewhere, are going to be critical and do need to get priority, or else we won't get the housing in the balanced way, and we won't get the economic development in the balanced way. You still need to do business cases. It will still take, even if you're kind of going ahead straight away, it is better to indicate the second part of this decade that those projects start to be built and delivered, because just in truth, the reality we all know is it takes time to get through our project appraisal system and our planning system. But that needs to accelerate, because those projects are needed as soon as we can possibly deliver them.